The next follow-up question is to be asked by the Honorable Shivambu.
No, thank you very much, House Chairperson. So the Secretary General of the EFF yesterday collected an LLB degree from the University of South Africa with 18 distinctions.
Yo.
So he says that it is common cause that the expropriation of land without compensation discourse has been championed by the economic freedom fighters. And of course, the ANC took a resolution in the 54th conference that said that there must be, as part of the mechanisms, expropriation of land without compensation. But there are beginning to be some quasi-legalistic, narrow, non-political views from members of the National Executive Committee, like charlatans like Godongwani and Jeremy Crony, are beginning to speak in double tongue in terms of whether we're going to expropriate land without compensation and whether we're going to change the
Point of order, House Chair.
Honorable Shivambu,
Point of
can I just
order.
take the point of order,
Yes.
please? Yes,
The
Honourable
principal-
Member?
Is it parliamentary to call a member of parliament a charlatan?
No, Honourable Shivambu. Let's address the members in a respectful term and withdraw that remark, please.
We'll deal with that.
No, Honourable Shivambu, you must withdraw that remark.
Mr. Cronin, yes.
No, just withdraw the word charlatan, please.
Mr. Cronin, but the word charlatan means a person who claims to know something which
No,
does not know.
just withdraw the remark, please.
But there's no
let's
rule
get on
that
with
says that.
let's get on with the business and withdraw the remark.
Okay, that's fine. Let me withdraw. I'll come back to
Thank
that
you.
later on.
You've got a
your
few
response-
seconds left to ask your question, eh?
In your response, President, I'm too kahle kumireni. Ngaku ama rukona kona kali yako ifana iteka msaba yanga hakelanga. I'm too kahle na ngwena ngaku na ngwema ilahla sweswi. Ateka msaba kumbe ayiteki na. So question equal, are we going to expropriate land without compensation? Are we going to change the constitution because the mandate of this house is that we should expropriate land without compensation and we must engage in process which ultimately should amend section 25(2) of the constitution that says that all expropriation should be subject to compensation. Please come out clear this time. Thank you very much.
The Honourable President.
Thank you. Honorable Shivambu. Resolution lay. Yi leyi nga tekiwa ka 54th conference ya ANC. Na tshemba ku ri mi yi hlaye kahle. Ni tshemba ku ri loko mi hete ku yi hlaya mi zi mi vona ku ri no swantswa n'wina mi ri EFF. Mi tsutsuma swinene. Mi tsutsume swinene mi ta laha. Loko mi fika laha mi ku no resolution leyi nga tekiwa ka conference se hi lava ku yi endla ya hina manjhe.
On a point of order, Chair.
What is the point of
On a
order,
point
Honourable
of
Member?
order.
Order, Honourable Members. What is the point of order?
So the common cause I spoke about earlier, so the president is not...
What is the point of order?
The president is misleading the House deliberately because the founding manifesto of the EFF,
No, Honourable
the
Member.
election manifesto
That's
of the
a
EFF,
point for
which
debate.
happened before the ANC conference,
Honourable Shivambu.
have got clear commitment to expropriation.
That is a
without
point for debate.
compensation.
Please take your
We
seat
did
now.
not take anything from the ANC. Instead,
Honourable
the ANC
Shivambu,
is learning from us.
please take your
in
seat
terms
now.
Of this
Thank you.
particular position.
Honourable President. The Honourable President.
Chair,
Yes.
President, first cardinal pillar of EFF.
Now, Honourable Member,
Land
please take your seat.
expropriation.
Honourable President, will you respond, please?
Honorable Speaker, House Chair, I can see that I've touched a very sensitive chord. Now, no, Honorable Shivambu, I was just merely stating the historical evolution of how this resolution came to Parliament. And basically saying, in December, the governing party at its 54th conference took a resolution on the expropriation of land without compensation. Very clear position. And I want to repeat, soon after that resolution was taken, the EFF was the first in class to come to this parliament to say, we are now going to appropriate that resolution of the African National Congress. We are now going to put it before parliament. And that's what you did. Now, I want to credit
Point
you.
of order.
Honorable President, will you just take your seat? Why are you rising, Honorable Member?
I rise on a point of order because the president is misleading this house and the public. In this way. In this way. He says his account.
Chair, House Chair.
No.
It's a Chair. Just before that. House Chair, just before that.
Chair, stand up on a point of order. Can you please protect me?
Order, honorable members.
Can you please protect me?
Honorable member, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Order, honorable members. Yes, make your point, honorable member.
Deliberately mislead this house and the public in this way. He says in his answer, he gives an accurate account of the evolution of the resolution and the public discourse on the land
So what is your point of order?
without compensation. Now here is the right and correct evolution.
No, honorable member, we've gone through this, really.
I'll say.
No, honorable member, I think you must take your seat.
I'm saying that the president is misleading
Please.
the house
Please take
deliberately.
your seat, honorable member. Please take your seat. Why are you rising, honorable member?
Chairperson, the member says the president is deliberately misleading the House. Deliberately misleading the House is unacceptable and is casting aspersions on the person of the president.
Honorable member, that you say the president is deliberately misleading this house, then you must withdraw it. If you don't want to withdraw it, honorable member, then you must leave the house. Honorable Matiase. No, honorable member, I'm busy. No, take your seat, I'll come back to you. I'm busy dealing with the honorable Matiase. I'll come to you.
Nobody, Chair, he is.
No, take your seat, honorable member. Please take your seat. Honorable Matiase, are you going to withdraw the remark?
House Chair.
And Matiasa is not going anywhere.
No, honorable member.
Matiasa is not going anywhere.
Honorable-
This house is proceeding very well. Now we are Papa, you are messing up everything. that
Take your seat, honorable member. Take your seat.
Matiasa is not
Honorable,
going anywhere.
take your seat. Honorable Matiase.
The president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, is deliberately
Honorable
misleading
member,
the
will you
house and the
please-
public.
Honorable
I'm not prepared to withdraw
Honorable
this statement.
Matiase, will you please leave the house?
He's not going anywhere. You must call those.
Honorable Matiase, I've asked you to leave the house. You are refusing to withdraw the remarks, a serious allegation that you're making by saying the president is deliberately misleading the house. Honorable Matiase, will you leave the house, please? Honorable Shivambu, take your seat, please. No, I'm not. I'm dealing with the Honorable Matiase. I'm dealing with this point of order now. May I request the Sergeant at Arms to escort the Honorable Matiase out of the house, please. I'm dealing with this point of order that I made a ruling on, and afterwards I'll come back to you.
Chair,
Yes, honorable member.
there
there are technical things that you're making mistakes on here. First of all, you didn't ask the member to answer as to why he says deliberately,
Honorable member.
so that he can justify his point.
Honorable
That's one.
member. Order,
And two,
honorable members.
But two,
Order.
I'm not done. Two, can you show us in the rules book where it says you can't say a person is deliberately misleading the House?
Honorable
Can
member.
you show us those rules?
Honorable member, please take your seat now. I've made a ruling in this regard.
House Chairperson.
And I'm still
House
busy.
Chairperson,
Honorable Shivambu,
I'm
take your
raising an
seat.
urgent motion.
Honorable
I'm raising an
Shivambu,
urgent motion that
please
you must step down
take
from that
your
chair
seat.
and allow someone else to preside
Please
there.
take your seat, honorable member.
But I'm raising a...
Honorable member, your member has raised a point of order and I'm dealing with that point of order now. Honorable member, please take your seat. I've dealt with that point of order. The Honorable Matiase has left the House. So that point of order has been dealt with. If you have any particular reason why you question my ruling that I, by the way, stand with, then you must approach the Rules Committee to deal with the matter. We want to get on with questions to the President now. No, honorable member, please take your seat. You are challenging a ruling. You are challenging a ruling, and I want you to take your seat, Honorable Shivambu. It is not going to happen. I'm sorry. I've got a ruling that I dealt with, and that ruling, that motion that you want to raise is not relevant to these proceedings now. Honorable President.
Chair, before the President...
No, take your seat, Honorable Member. I want to proceed with the President now. Please take your seat, Honorable Member. Please take your seat. We want to proceed with questions to the President now.
Chair, you have not...
Honorable Member, I've given you the rule that you must follow in dealing with this matter. Let's get on with questions to the President now. The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable.
Sorry, Mr. President, just a bit.
What is your point of order, Honorable
You must
Member?
start taking leadership. That guy sitting there is useless.
Honorable Member,
Just remove
please
the-
take your seat. Honorable Member, please take your seat. Continue, Honorable President.
Thank you.
What is your point of order, Honorable
Point of
Member?
order, Chairperson. First, we want you to step down because you are doing the same
No,
what
honourable
Maleka have
member.
done when Zuma was the president.
No,
you are
honourable
doing
member.
it again. You
Please
must step
take
down.
your seat.
You can't chair the
Please
house. You must
take
step
your
down.
seat. It's not gonna happen,
we want
honourable
you to
member, I'm
step
afraid.
down. We want another person to chair
Take
the
your
house.
seat.
You must step down.
Take your
we
seat,
want
honourable
another
member.
to
Honourable Member, please take your seat. Honourable President, will you respond to the question that has been raised, please?
Thank you, Honorable
No, Honourable Member, I'm not taking further
House
points of
Chair.
order on this matter. No. No, Honourable Member, your party is raising exactly the same point. I've dealt with this point of order. If you are unhappy with the point of order that was raised, you must take it to the Rules Committee. Please take it to the Rules Committee. You also, no, Honourable Members, take your seat. Honourable Shivambu, take your seat. We want to proceed to questions to the President. I've made a ruling and I stand by my ruling. Continue, Honourable President.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
I'm not recognizing Honourable Member. Take your seat. Please take your seat. No, Honourable Member, please take your seat and let's allow the President to proceed. I've made a ruling. I've responded to you, Honourable Member. Is it a different point you wish to raise now? Let me hear what you have to say.
Yeah. No, Chair. These proceedings have been
What
going
is your
on.
point of order, Honourable Member?
These proceedings have been going on very well and the President
Yes.
has been doing very well.
Yes.
You are messing up a very good process.
Honourable Member, I'm applying the rules
Honest.
of the House. Take
Sorry?
your seat. Please take your seat now. You now saying exactly
Chairperson.
what you said previously.
I've never said this before.
No, take your seat, please.
Chairperson.
Honourable Member, take your seat.
Chairperson.
I'm not going to allow any further points of order on this matter.
Chairperson.
I want the President to proceed.
I don't think EFF is the
Chairperson.
only party
No,
that has
honourable
got the
members.
right.
Honourable members, both of the EFF and I'm also requesting the ANC whip. No, take your seat, honourable member. Take your seat. I'm asking you to take your seat, please. Let us allow the President to proceed. No, honourable member, take your seat. Take your seat. Please take your seat. Continue, Honourable President.
of order.
Honorable Shivambu,
Yeah, but can
why
you
are
please
you
take point of
rising?
order? What rule is preventing you to put a special urgent motion against you that you must step down now?
Honorable
Which rule are you
member,
using?
we are dealing with
But you are
questions to
proposing
the
that you must
president.
step down.
Honorable member, take your seat. No, I'm not going to step down. You can be assured of that. I've made a ruling and I stand by my ruling. Order, honorable members. Order. Take your seats. Honorable President, will you continue, please? Honorable President, will you continue, please? Honorable President, will you continue, please?
Thank you, Honorable
Take your seat,
House
please.
Chair. Thank you. Honorable Shivambu,
I'm not recognizing any further points of order on this matter. We are going to proceed. We are going to proceed, honorable members. Really, really. Please take your seat. I've made a ruling on a point that you are unhappy with, and you can pursue the National Assembly Rules Committee on this matter. Honorable member, is it different from what has been said earlier? Yes, honorable member.
Okay, thank you very much. Before the president can continue, please just step down.
Honorable member, take your seat, please. Take your seat. Continue, honorable president.
thank you, Honorable House Chair. I was at the point of
No, honorable members, you are making repetitive points of order about the same matter. And I am not going to entertain a further point of order on this matter. I want us to proceed. Take your seat, please. I want us to proceed. Honorable President.
Thank you,
Order.
House Chair. If I may continue, I'd like to answer Honorable Shivambu's question. I was on the verge of saying,
Honorable Shivambu.
But allow us to speak.
the president-
Members of parliament were allowed
Honorable
to speak.
Shivambu, but you're raising the same point of
But
order.
allow members to speak. You don't know what they're going to say.
No, Honorable
Allow them to
Shivambu.
speak.
Honorable Shivambu, as the chief whip of your party,
Yeah, but allow them to speak.
can
I'm
you
here to
please
defend
take
my
your
members
seat
from
now,
speaking.
please? Please take your
My
seat.
members must be allowed to speak here.
Honorable members, you are raising repetitive points of
But allow
order on the
listen to
same
them.
matter.
Listen to our members.
And I am not going to allow
Listen
it.
to our members. Listen.
I am not going to allow repetitive point of orders.
But you must listen to members.
What is your point, honorable member?
Okay, thank you.
No, Chair, no.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Chairperson, our country finds itself at a crossroads simply because of distortion of history. The same happened with Sharpeville massacre. Again, the same thing happened with 1976 uprisings. A is the question of land.
Honorable member, please
Which
take your
we
seat.
are
You're making a
saying
speech
to-
now.
No, it's not a speech, Chairperson. It's not a
What
speech.
is the point of order?
Distortion of facts.
Honorable President,
All that we are saying, Chairperson, is...
let's allow the President to respond.
No, Chairperson, please.
Take your seat, please.
As a member of this House, Chairperson,
Please take your
allow,
seat.
will you allow the dissenting voice to be heard?
Honorable member, with all due respect, will you take your seat now, please? Thank you.
You haven't heard me, Chairperson.
Honorable member, please take your seat.
You haven't heard me,
No,
Chairperson.
honorable member, I've heard what you've said.
No,
I want the...
you haven't
No,
heard
take
me,
your seat,
Chairperson.
please. No, honorable members, the President is about to respond to a question raised by your chief whip, the Honorable Shivambu, right? The President will respond to that question now. If we do not allow the President to respond, then it will create a further difficulty for us that we do not want to go into. So can we allow the President to respond to this question, please? No, honorable member, I'm not going to recognize you. I've recognized you on 3 occasions and you raised exactly the same point. Honorable President, I'm going to request you to continue, please.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Take your seat, please.
I thank you for giving me this opportunity once again to respond to Honorable Shivambu's question, hopefully without any interruption this time.
What is your point now, Honorable Member?
Chairperson, the attitude you are using there, it tells us you must now step down. You are tired.
No, Honorable Member. No, Honorable President, please continue. I'm no longer taking points of order on the matter. Continue, Honorable President. No, Honorable Member, take your seat. Honorable Member, take your seat, please. Take your seat. Honorable Member, take your seat. I am not recognizing you, Honorable Member. Please take your seat. Take your seat. Continue, Honorable President.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Honorable members, you are not the only members in this House. There are 380 other members waiting to listen to the President. And what you are doing now is gross disorderly conduct. And I can no longer tolerate that. I've made a ruling, and I stand by that ruling. I'm not going to change that ruling. If you are not willing to be part of these proceedings, then you are more than welcome to leave so that we can continue with the business of the House. This is really unbecoming. You can have your own issues and your disagreements with my ruling, but I stand by my ruling. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Continue, Honorable President.
Thank you very much.
I'm not recognizing that member.
Honorable Shivambu, I had wanted to say,
No, Honorable Member, I'm not going to recognize you. Honorable Mashabela, will you please take your seat? I want to allow the President to continue. Honorable President.
thank you, Honorable House Chair. I'd wanted to say to Honorable Shivambu that following the passing of the resolution of the governing party, the EFF introduced the motion here, which in a number of ways has unleashed, the adoption of that motion has unleashed a wonderful process, a process of debate, dialogue, discussion throughout the length and the breadth of the country. And indeed, as the motion states, as the resolution was, that we should now look at land in a different way. We should be able to use various mechanisms to deal with the land question, and one of those is the expropriation of land without compensation, taking into account that as we do so, we should not harm the economy, we should increase agricultural production as well as food security. That is the motion or the resolution of the African National Congress, which I believe in, which was passed by the 54th Conference, to answer your question directly. What we have now unleashed is this wonderful, all-empowering process, which, as I said, is already proving to include and involve quite a number of people in our country. Let us allow that process to continue so that our people get fully engaged in this discussion and debate and dialogue, and we will end up with a very wonderful product where all South Africans will have a sense that they now are part of the outcome that will have been arrived at, the one of dealing with land. And so with that, Honorable Shivambu, I say, let us continue and engage on this issue. EFF is entitled to put forward its view, as is the ANC, as is the DA, and indeed all other parties that are represented here on this issue. And let us be sure that there are quite a number of other people outside of this National Assembly who also want to put their views forward, and they should be allowed to do so. So let the discussions ensue and let people get engaged in these discussions. And let us persuade one another. Let us find one another as we seek to persuade one another. Ek sê ons moet nou aangaan, ons moet mooi praat, ons moet ook lekker praat. Ons moet ook saamwerk, sodat die einde van hierdie debat moet 'n baie mooi debat wees, waar almal van ons can say that indeed we've engaged in a debate where each one of us has contributed to the further development and building of our democracy and ensuring that South Africa becomes a successful country. Laat ons nou aangaan. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Kebekulu.
Point of order.
Yes, Honourable Member.
You know, in the rules of the National Assembly, there's a rule that specifically says that we must not cast aspersions on members of parliament. Now, the president says that we opportunistically took up the issue of land when it is in the founding manifesto of the EFF, it's in the elections manifesto which are public. So to suggest that we opportunistically took it because an ANC resolution is casting aspersions on members of the EFF that have raised the motion, and it's decidedly and conclusively wrong and must be addressed here in this house without having to do in a way that we did of chasing our member out illegally. And you must step down, Steelway.
No, Honourable Member, the point that you are raising is a point of debate between members of this House and the different parties that are here. And I now want to recognize the Honourable Kebekulu.